I was shaking when I walked down the aisle. My heart felt like a drum in my chest and my palms were slick. The church was full, phones up, filters ready. Everyone looked at me the same way they look at viral faces, eager, hungry for the moment. I chose a simple white dress with a small pearl belt. I had dreamed of this day like 100 TikToks had taught me to dream it: soft lighting, slow music, the kind of clip that gets 50,000 saves and makes your grandma cry. I felt like a storybook cliché until I saw Marjorie. My mother-in-law, Marjorie, was already seated in the front row. She smiled like a queen who had just been told the crown was hers. She wore white. Not ivory, not cream, not the respectful kind of white that older women sometimes wear to summer parties, but pure, bright white. Her dress had sequins. Her shoes were sharp, pointed, and louder than the vows. The woman who had told me, months ago, that bridal white is for the bride, had made herself the brightest light in a room meant for me. At first I froze. I felt my smile split into two. One part tried to hold grace. The other part wanted to laugh until everyone stopped breathing. My friends sent me sideways glances, their eyes full of private warnings. My husband, Noah, squeezed my hand and mouthed, "I'm sorry." He didn't mean to. He had called his mother that morning and she had said in that velvet way she always used, "I just wanted to feel pretty." I didn't think it would matter. It mattered. It mattered like a lit match in a room of candles. After the ceremony, the photos went up. We staged the first kisses and the slow dances. People posted the clips with heart emojis and champagne emojis and OMG in all caps. But I noticed the comments. "Mil looks stunning. She should have been a model." Someone tagged a fashion account and suddenly Marjorie's white was trending under the wrong hashtag. My feed filled with pictures of her laughing next to my cake. Her white dress captured more camera light than mine. It pinched. That night, I scrolled. I scrolled through the videos that my friends had taken, the shaky vertical shots, the behind-the-scenes angles. In one clip, Marjorie had the camera pointed close to her sequined shoulder as she told a guest, loud and polished, "Honestly, that dress would look great on anyone. I just can't resist." The caption people wrote under the clip was savage. People called her bride thief. The clip got shared into a group chat with the original bridesmaids, mine, and the message bubble popped like a beat drop. My friends were Gen Z to the bone. They thought quickly. "You must own it," June said. June's nickname was Junebug online and she ran an account where she made viral transitions and savage clapback edits. "Turn it into content," she said. "Make it yours. If this story was going to be told, we could tell it our way." At first, the idea seemed childish. Wear white to her wedding. It felt petty and small, like a meme. But petty works when it's precise. Revenge is a kind of art. I wanted to show the world that I wasn't going to let someone steal a light that was supposed to be mine. I wanted to make a moment that would sting the way she had stung me, public, unavoidable, and very, very seen. We planned for months. The plan was simple but needed timing: find out the date of her renewal ceremony, attend as a guest, and wear a white dress that was equal parts bridal and confident. But it couldn't be random. It had to be cinematic. It had to be a story within a story. We would film, edit, and drop the clips in the places that mattered: Reels, TikTok, and a private post in the neighborhood gossip group where the older crowd lurked. We would not attack. We would perform. We would use the same tools she used: optics, charm, and the little rules that keep attention where she liked it. The first step was information. I asked Noah casually about any plans for his mother's 60th birthday and he almost tripped over the truth. "She's planning some kind of renewal ceremony," he said, like it was nothing. "You're invited, of course." Invited. A small word with a big door behind it. The date was in 6 weeks. June and I scoured the internet for white dresses that looked wedding adjacent but not tacky. "Bridal but not bridal," she said, mouthing the mantra. We needed something that read white at a glance, but also read, "I earned this stage." We wanted a look that would photograph like a centerpiece. I chose a crepe dress with an exaggerated shoulder and a slit that would keep the movement dramatic. Shoes, simple. Jewelry, one pearl choker that matched the belt from my wedding. Hair, loose waves that washed like silk in slow motion. Then we practiced. We filmed slow-motion walks in empty parking lots, practiced the tilt of my chin, tested camera angles to make sure the light hit the dress just so. We wanted a moment people couldn't ignore. We wanted subtlety that read loud. On the day, the place smelled like coffee and lilies. Marjorie's ceremony was at a small garden venue in the city, the kind of place that markets itself on enchantment for intentional celebrations. Guests filed in with their beige linen suits and soft pastels. I watched my breath fog a little in the cool air. Noah kissed my forehead at the entrance and said, "No fights. No drama." I lied when I said, "Of course." The truth was a different kind of quiet ferocity. Marjorie saw me and I felt the room tilt. Her smile flickered once, as if a light had momentarily gone out. She wore a champagne gown with lace, very wedding aunt. Her friends murmured, a few raised their phones, ready. My entrance was simple, not a march, not a proclamation. I walked with the same calm as anyone heading to a brunch. But cameras are patient. People like to watch when someone dares to test the rules. She said hello with a carefully warm hug, the kind that doesn't touch the heart. "You look lovely," she told me, full of that soft sweetness she used when she wanted to land a sting. I smiled and said, "Thank you." "You, too." Her voice split the air. "White again?" she asked, and laughter fluttered around like someone had tossed confetti. The tone implied, "How bold. How tacky. How you." I answered quietly, "I thought we'd match." It was a line so small and flat, but the tiny grin that followed it was enough. People laughed, but it sounded different, like the kind of laughter that came at the end of a scene when something surprising had been revealed. We took our seats. The ceremony began. Marjorie moved with the practiced elegance of someone who had always expected eyes on her. She wore a tiara, yes, a tiny tiara, because she liked small crowns. The officiant spoke about second chances and new vows. I found myself thinking not about vows but about optics, who looked good on camera. Who would be the picture people saved to their phone? Then the moment we had rehearsed for weeks, the group photo. She insisted everyone gather and stand in a line by the roses. The photographer climbed a ladder and asked us to smile big. He counted down. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, I stepped forward. Not a bold step. A small, confident slide into the frame. June's camera, her hidden phone, caught the movement. It was the same tilt I had practiced in parking lots. The light hit the crepe and the pearl choker, and for the first time in my life I felt like the center of something I had designed. The photo popped into reality and my phone buzzed 6 times simultaneously. Reels started to form in people's heads. Something curious happened. Marjorie's friends shifted, almost imperceptibly, as if the photo's light had magnetized toward me. The tiara flashed in a corner like the last sparkle of someone else's spotlight. Marjorie didn't look angry. She looked surprised and then, in the way of practiced performers who never expected competition, she looked small. After the photo, people started to whisper. Did she plan that? She knows how to work a camera. Old ladies in pastel asked me with a half-whisper, "Are you the daughter's friend?" No one seemed to realize I was the daughter-in-law. I let the mistake sit like a layer of icing on the tense cake. It felt delicious. It felt like proof that I could rewrite the script. We posted a clip that evening. June edited, slow motion, a close-up on the choker, then the group photo, then a backtick caption, "White is a vibe." That caption was both mood and claim. We released it at 7:34 p.m., timed between dinner and late scroll hours. As the clip floated into feeds, notifications became a kind of thunder. Likes, comments, twisted hearts, and the little fire emoji that meant something had been stoked. People loved it. People loved the audacity. Comments read like mini-scripts of approval and shock. But publicity can breed more than applause. 2 days later, a neighborhood blog posted a blurry shot from the ceremony with the headline, "Bride versus Wife? White Wars at Local Renewal." The piece was written by someone who loved drama. It had interviews with guests who were shocked and amused. It quoted Marjorie politely and then quoted me, my words stripped of the context June had crafted. Then the messages came. Old classmates, strangers, and my own family texted, some in praise, some in offense, some in bewilderment. Noah's aunt called to scold me for embarrassing the family. My father forwarded an article with the subject line, "Is this necessary?" My thumb hovered over the reply field. My private messages were a storm of hot takes. This is where revenge can turn into a wildfire you can't control. I had wanted to make a point. I had not wanted to hurt people I loved. But Marjorie had shown me the rules of their world: look good, be polished, and never let the younger woman outshine you. I was tired of playing by rules written for their comfort. So I did something else. Not mean, but very real. I made a documentary of the small humiliations. June pulled together clips, DM screenshots, voice notes, the video of Marjorie saying, "I just can't resist." We put them together with captions that read like a timeline. No yelling. No threats. Just evidence, dates and words and images that showed a pattern. We uploaded it to my account and pinned it publicly. The video began with my wedding, then cut to Marjorie at my wedding, then to the renewal ceremony. It moved like a heartbeat. The caption said, "A pattern of stealing light." Not about dresses. About respect. That line carried weight. The post spread because everyone wanted a narrative. People love the arc of an underdog story. I didn't want to cancel my mother-in-law. I wanted to explain. I wanted to claim a small dignity that had been taken. The documentary was calm, factual, and devastating because it wasn't ugly. Just true. Viewers reacted with empathy. Women of all ages commented about being belittled at gatherings. Men sent messages saying they had never thought about how rules worked against younger women. A few people called it petty in the comments section, but more people thanked me for speaking up. The most dramatic turn came on a Sunday when Marjorie invited my husband and me for coffee. She was pointedly polite and had a newspaper clipping folded on the table. "This attention you get," she said, fingers neat. "It won't last. People always want the new thing." Noah sat between us, the gap like an island. I could see he felt torn, the way people do when their loyalties stretch like old fabric. I told her calmly, this wasn't about attention. It was about being seen on a day that mattered to me. "You took that. You knew it mattered." My voice didn't shake. People in the room later told me they had never heard me speak like that. She blinked. The armor that had looked so inevitable on her shoulders showed the first cracks. Then she said something that was quiet and raw. "I was lonely," she admitted. "When I saw my son marrying you, I felt left behind. I'm sorry if I hurt you." It was not a perfect apology. It was not cinematic. It was honest, which is worse, because honesty removes the fuel of grudges. I had wanted to win. Winning suddenly felt small next to the truth. I could have pushed harder. I could have stoked the flames of online opinions until there was only scorched earth. Instead, I took her hand and said, "Your loneliness doesn't give you the right to hurt me. But I forgive you." Word spread, not as a dramatic end, but as a messy, human turn. Some called me naive. Some called me wise. The algorithm didn't know how to tag feelings that were more complicated than a viral clip. The posts died down, but the ripples stayed. Months later, at a family dinner, Marjorie and I stood in the kitchen together making pasta. She coached me on a family recipe like a woman teaching the next generation what matters. She asked me about my small dream, one about starting a shop that sells tasteful used wedding dresses, because the industry was wasteful, and because I liked the idea of second chances. I told her about the choker I still kept in a wooden box. She reached out and touched it like a relic. "You did good," she said, and I heard gratitude under the words. The revenge I had wanted had been a bright, loud moment. But the reality was that revenge can also be a reset. My public clapback had given me a voice. It had forced a conversation that had been avoided by polite smiles. It had exposed a pattern, and from that exposure came a small shift. Marjorie kept her dignity. I kept mine. The internet kept its clips. People still favored one photo of me at her ceremony. It was the one where I stood in white, calm as a statue. They added the caption, "She wore the crown." That idea amused me. The notion that crowns can land anywhere. I didn't mean to prove I was better. I meant to prove I was seen. The story didn't end in a headline. It ended in the small stuff, in my husband texting me the photo of our baby's tiny feet, in Marjorie bringing over aged Parmesan and clucking approvals at my sauce, in the way my friends still joked about white wars over late-night snacks. The scandal became a turning point instead of a war zone. If there's one thing I want Gen Z readers to take away, it's simple: attention is a tool. Use it with clarity. You can be petty and elegant. You can be loud without being cruel. And sometimes, the best revenge is to create something that proves your worth without tearing another person down.